Hello everybody, Pastas. I apologize for not uploading, and it's mostly because my microphone was broken and I was focused on my main channel. But I picked up the blue snowball ice today, so without further ado, let's get right into it. The Screaming Flail. I awoke to find myself in a darkened passageway. As I sat up from the dusty floor and rubbed my head, I realized I had no memory of who I was, or how I got into this strange place. No matter how I got there, I felt it was needing to get out, fast. The passageways were like a maze that led to nowhere. It was as if I was stuck in a castle in Europe or something. Great, I can remember Europe and castles, but not my own name? How pathetic was that? Anyway, I traveled down the halls, for God knows how long I reached an end ended. I could not believe luck, so I turned back and found another route out of this hellhole. Upon crossing upon an intersection in a passageway that I crossed through before, a thick mist and a soft light appeared to the left of me. I looked and saw a tall, well-built figure walking down the hall towards me. At first I was relieved, thinking that I had been saved. I waved and shouted to the man, trying to get to his attention, but all I got in return was silence. Soon, however, what I felt to excitement turned to dread. As the mist surrounded the man parted, I could see how he wore an old military uniform of some sort. I couldn't quite remember the era, but maybe like the 1600s? Maybe earlier, I don't know. I just put my finger on his... It was clear that he was headless. It was clean off his shoulders of a smooth edge. I then began to notice the sound. The horrible, screeching sound like something metal against a chalkboard. I then saw in his hand. He dragged a large handle that was linked to a chain. I couldn't see what was on the other end of that chain at first because of the mist, but as the headless man in uniform came closer, I began to hear groaning and high-pitched panting. Without warning, the headless figure took a swing at me. As a large metal-looking ball with spikes came at my head, as it swung, a loud, high-pitched scream echoed through the walls. I managed to dodge it backwards to avoid it, with white spot got stuck in the wall. Once I regained my breath after the shock, I looked up to find the spiked wall was not a ball at all. It was a human head cast in iron. The face on the iron was at an agony and pain. The mouth was open to reveal a metal tongue, and the eyes were closed shut. What sort of thing was this? I thought to myself. With one huge pull, the freed iron head from the wall as it screamed again, and it threw its arms back and swung at me again. As the spiked head screamed that god-awful scream, it missed only hitting the space between my legs without a scratch. The face on the iron looked right up to me, and suddenly opened its eyes to reveal horribly bloodshot eyes. The head began to scream again. It was so loud I thought my ears were going to bleed. The figure pulled back on the chain, getting it unstuck a second time. Before I knew it, I was sprinting down the hall like a bat out of hell. I didn't know how long I ran, but I soon found myself into believe what the center of a maze. It was four-sided corridor, some kind of bottomless pit in the center. I almost fell in it when I stumbled upon this place as I slid to my stop, and my feet dangled over the darkness below for a moment. I looked up and saw even more halls above the one I was on, but no sunlight on top. I then heard the footsteps of the thing coming up from behind. I looked up at my shoulder to see him, the mist parting as he approached. I think I could not get away. I had two options, right or left. When I was halfway up on my feet, however, the stone bricks that held the floor of the fall began to collapse like dominoes. It started the opposite eye in front of me. I was able to hear the loud crack that began to affect. The floor caved in all around me. I was on the left near a pathway, like a pirate's wooden plank. The figure that slowly approached me. As the thing neared, I heard the dragging of its bizarre weapon. I was left with two new options: jump and hope to live, or stay and die for sure. And so, without thinking much longer, I jumped into the abyss below, and I fell. Headless thing looked down at me, dangling set on the chain above the darkness as I did. I then woke up in my bed screaming, shooting up until I seated upwards. I was in a cold sweat, or in the wrong apartment, for memories came flooding back to me. My name was Steven Tyler. I remembered everything now. As I lay back in my bed, I sighed in relief. It was just a dream. Oh, thank God, it was just a dream. I gently drifted back to sleep. I smiled as I did. In the morning, when I got back to my old routine, I brushed my teeth, took a 20-minute shower, made myself some breakfast, and then got dressed in a suit. I remembered I worked for a law firm downtown as Periel, and so the day started out like no other. That was until I opened my door. Out in the hall, police were everywhere. That passed my door, down the apartment. At the very end of the hall, flashes blasted, the light shadows on the hallway as pictures were being taken. In the doorway of the apartment, I saw a group of people who all had jackets that said CSI. They mumbled to themselves about something that they'd been talking so loudly, and altogether it was hard to hear what exactly they were talking about. Just then, my neighbor from my apartment to the left of my own came up to me and said, "Yeah, they just showed up like 5 minutes ago." The superintendent called it no too late long. "What's going on in here?" with a loud sigh. Betty replied, "Well, I guess it'll be up to you. Apparently old Miss Bitterman was murdered last night." "Murdered?" "Yeah, beaten to death with some sort of large, heavy object. I overheard one of the cops talking about it in detail. I also heard them believe that you must have killed someone in the middle of the night, but I didn't hear anything last night. Did you?" I thought for a moment and said, "No, I didn't hear anything from the apartment. Sure, I woke up from the weirdest dream, but I didn't hear a damn thing." A detective walked up to the both of us. He looked over for the moment, asking, "Which one of you is Steven Tyler?" "I am, sir," replied. "Did you hear anything last night?" the detective asked. As I was telling my neighbor here, I said, pointing out to my neighbor, who waved at the detectives, "I didn't hear anything." "Okay then, Mr. Tyler. Do you have any enemies?" Mr. Tyler, the detective asked. "What kind of question was that? What did I have to do with the murder of Miss Bitterman?" "Sure, we were neighbors. We chatted, said hello in the hall. I barely knew the woman. And why would I have any enemies? True, I work in a law firm, but it's mostly a desk job. Very few of our clients even aware of our existence. My family is normal enough, and I had great friends. Why would I have enemies?" I told the detective that I don't have any enemies. He asked me, then followed me to the apartment. After passing through the crowd of people, I saw the scene. There were large holes in the wall, blood spattering everywhere, belated boot prints all over the floor, and Miss Bitterman has been taken in a body bag. How even could anyone do such a horrible thing? And finally, to my horror, my eyes went wide open after the detective pointed out a message written in blood which read, "One life for another, Steven Tyler." My God, did the thing from the dream kill her because I live? Tell me it was just a dream.